Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about grace over perfection. And I think I want to focus on how to restart without shame. And I really want to talk about this topic because I feel like it's something that we all can relate to. And it's just something about restarting. It's just something about starting over. It's just something about things not working out the way we thought, and we probably have to move back or do whatever. It's just something about restarting, and there's just something about like the shame behind restarting. So today we're going to talk about grace over perfection, but in reality I should really call it restarting without shame. I think I'm gonna call this video restarting without shame, and let's talk about it. Why does it feel like if we have to restart a relationship, we gotta move back, had to leave a relationship, leave a job, especially when we're restarting when it's unexpected, or we thought that this was going to work out, it didn't work out, now we have to start over, or the business failed, we have to restart or give up on the business, restart a new business, or the marriage didn't work out, had to get a divorce, and I have to restart my life, or the job laid me off and I had to restart, or this job I was bragging about, I have to restart, or this opportunity I was bragging about, I have to restart, or this dating person I was dating, I was bragging about, now I have to restart, or I gotta find a new church because I'm church hurt, I gotta restart. So there's just a shame. And I believe there's I don't want to say a low stigma. There is a stigma out there when you have to restart, and maybe because we put the shame on ourselves. I know a lot of people find the power, and what's so amazing is that there's so much power in the stories about people restarting, because it's oftentimes in those restarting stories that we hear how amazing God is, the wonderful things He has done in their lives, and God comes through and show out in those restarting seasons. And you're restarting with God. You're restarting with, let's get that straight. First of all, you're restarting with God. So there should be no shame in that. And sometimes what we have lost, what it looked like we lost a lot. And we just need to remember that God is a God who restores. So the thing that you have lost, He's literally waiting to bless you with something so much bigger. There have been people who got laid off, and after they got laid off, they started a business. There are I think I came across this guy one time on TikTok where he talked about how he got laid off and he just started baking cakes. He had a passion for baking, and now he owns a big business, a popular bakery business, all because he had to restart. Okay, he just had to restart, and guess what? He didn't restart in his career. He restarted with something else. I feel like in those seasons of restarting, God bless us so much in the opportunities and the blessings and the ideas. He's literally at our side restarting. And sometimes we feel shameful. We should feel shameful for not being who we thought we were once, or not be on that pedestal anymore, or whatever it is that we were putting on the pedestal, whether it was ourselves or the relationship, the marriage, the job, the car, the house, whatever it is that we were putting on that pedestal. And the fact that we are restarting, we tend to feel damn, I'm not, I thought I was going this direction, but the fact that I have to restart, I feel kind of embarrassed. Sometimes it can feel embarrassing having to restart, especially if you were at your peak and then all of a sudden you lose everything. And the beautiful thing is there is power. There are so many stories. I love hearing a restarting story. I know in my restarting season, I went back to school, I had got my MBA, and if it wasn't for that season, I probably wouldn't have thought about getting an MBA. So there are seasons where we're restarting, And God not only blessed us with bigger opportunities, more opportunities, but He literally puts amazing people around us in this season, in those seasons. And sometimes, like, if it wasn't for those restarting seasons, we probably would not have met those people that's around us. But also, we probably would not have met the version of ourselves that we became in that restarting season. Like, we probably would not have met that person. So not only is God reforming us, reshaping us, and just helping us becoming better, He also puts amazing people in our lives in the season where we feel like we're ashamed. I've met people in their restarting season, and it was all divine intervention. Like, I remember one of my friends, we went to junior high school together. We kept a little bit in touch in high school. We lost contact in college. And I was at church one time, and she was at my church. I was like, girl, what you doing here? Because she had moved. She had moved to a whole different state. And she was in her restarting season. She had to leave her marriage. She came back. She was in her restarting season, and I met her, and ever since then we've been so close, and we've been so close ever since. And it's so beautiful because that restarting season, she always talks about the role that I played when we reconnected, how I helped her to heal. Like, those restarting seasons are so important, And I love I don't want to say I love the restarting season, because hold up now, like, it's hard to just have to restart and lose everything. I'm not about to say I love restarting season. I think I love hearing the aftermath, like when you're hearing the testimonies and when you're hearing how great and wonderful God has been and how God was and how God turned something so bad, so ugly, so terrible to something so beautiful. So that's what I love. But am I gonna sit here and be like, Lord, restart me every time? No, I'm not, because restarting is not for the weak. But if I had to go through a restarting season, because I'm gonna be living on this earth for a long time, so I know there's gonna be a restarting season at some point, because I feel like there's always a restarting season. You're just restarting from different areas of your life. But like, yes, if that restarting season comes, yes, I'm gonna try my best. Look, I can't even have the words because I'm like, Lord, please don't send it. But if I had to go through a restarting season, I definitely have tools and I have knowledge from my previous restarting season, from other people that I witnessed had to restart over, and how God literally always come through. He may not come when you want him. He's always on time. It's just so beautiful, and I love hearing those stories. I remember I went to a women's conference, and the person, she basically has a ministry where she's going to prisons and teaching young women about the word of God. She's written books that's been in prison, just going around and helping people learn about the word of God. And she was into drugs, and she just lived a terrible life, she said, and eventually she got into prison. She ended up in prison. She got arrested. She ended up in prison. I think she served about like 10 years, if so. And it was in prison that she found Jesus. And to the point she started reading the Bible, reading books about Jesus, like reading books about just inspiration, other people like starting their life over and things like that. And guess what? She got out of prison. She's writing books. She's the author of many books that's in prison. She has a ministry of going to prison to teach the word of God, helping women after they come out of prison. Like, it's just so beautiful how literally at any point in our lives, God can restart. Like, he can help us restart. There's no such thing as like it's too late in God's eyes. I feel like as long as you have forgiveness in your heart, you don't have any unforgiveness, you ask God to forgive you. Okay, so imagine like you're praying for God to forgive you, but then like you haven't forgiven the people that have hurt you. So one, I feel like when you don't have unforgiveness in your heart towards other people, and then you ask God to forgive you, and then you ask God to help you forgive if you do need help to forgive, and you ask God to create in you a new heart, renew your mind. And in the midst of that and trusting him, like, he will restart your life. And sometimes God will like prompt a restarting in our lives when we fall short and when we're in a bad place. He will like, hey, I'm trying to get your attention. I'm trying to get your attention. Like in that woman that got saved in prison, talking about learning about Jesus because someone else was coming to prison to teach about Jesus. And that person went through the same thing. They learned about God in prison, and they're coming back to teach about the word of God. So even in that moment, like God was nudging on her, and there was an opportunity for her to restart. Well, I think she was starting, because I don't think she believed in God, but the restart came after the redemption. And that's why I believe once we give our heart to God, and once we trust him, and once we start that relationship, he will come through with that restarting seed. And also, like, you know, like not putting faith aside, because everything has to do with you believing in God, but also faith in yourself, like believing that you are created here for a purpose, believing that the same God who helped you did it, the same God who put the vision in you and trusted you with the vision, trusted you with that career, trusted you to get that degree, it's the same God that is in you, the same God that was in you then before you lost all the things. It's the same God that's in you now. So believing in yourself, believing in the God in you, that regardless of where you are in life, he could put you in a deserted island and that you will find your way.